Yo, what's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us again on a Wednesday at noon, my time. We're going to talk about Gary Chambers, filibuster, and a couple other things. So hang out and enjoy. Hey, it's us, me, Mickey 420. Thanks for joining us, and let's jump on and see what we get into. What up, dude?
Yo, how's it going?
Hey, happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. We have a heck of a lead story. It was a Senate candidate that has smoked cannabis in his um, campaign ad for the Senate in Louisiana. We also have a few other stories that we're going to cover in our little news summary. South
Yeah.
Carolina's in the news. There might be a federal probe into Missouri's medical marijuana program. We have an international story from Thailand. The Kansas Attorney General evidently has banned D8 in its state, and the filibuster may change. All of that. But first, don't forget to head over to cannabisindustrylawyer.com and see if your team is qualified to get into the cannabis industry. There was over 350 people, or teams, that filled out that form last month on cannabisindustrylawyer.com. And we've reached out and gotten in contact with several of them to try to help them start their legal cannabis businesses.
Right on, dude. So, yeah, jumping to Gary Chambers.
Jump into Gary Chambers. That was the news of the week. And so this Gary Chambers cat is seen here, and it's called 37 Seconds. I believe it is 37 seconds long, and it is a reference to how often someone is arrested for marijuana in the United States. And this is one of the cooler aspects of it.
Every 37 seconds.
There it is. Every 37 seconds. It just starts off with him lighting a blunt. And, of course, I'm not the biggest fan of blunts because I don't smoke tobacco. But check that out. Look at this. This is Gary Chambers Jr.'s YouTube channel. And so suddenly he got 136,000 views overnight. That's how popular this was. And his subscribers, none, which is kind of a bummer. But yeah, Marijuana Moments reporting this, and everybody else is reporting this. I saw this thing going around the internet, something fierce.
Yeah, no, everybody's been posting it. I've been following him since during 2 years ago during the protest, Black Lives Matter protest.
Oh, really?
Because Gary Chambers made this beautiful, like the guy is a brilliant man. Where there was a school debate about like the name of the school, like it's Robert E. Lee or some other BS like person in history, and they're trying to change it. And at the same time, while they're trying to have a emphatic, intelligent conversation, there was a woman that was on like Amazon or something shopping for high heels, and he called her out. He's all, "Hey, whatever her name was, we're talking about like all these injustices, like slavery's not a light topic, and all the the horrible things that happened in the beginning of America. Like this is not nice and friendly to talk about." Yet she was shopping for shoes. But yeah, I really hope he gets it in Louisiana. I think the reason why he didn't get so many subscribers is because he is just a politician trying to fix his state, right? He's a homebody. Like, unless you're in Louisiana.
Him on the show would be fun. Like having him on the show would be great. But then like he's got a campaign. I bet their primary. Do they say when the primary is? Because you got to get through the primary first. If he does, then he'll have some time, and we might be able to find out how to get him on the show. If anybody knows him, drop it in the comments, get in touch with us, get in touch with me on Instagram at Cannabis Industry Lawyer. I don't want to just like DM this guy and be like, "Hey, do you want to come on the program?" I mean, there has to be some email address we can get from him.
It was funny, dude, because like sometime last year, because he's been from when he went viral the first time and building up momentum for his campaign and getting people supporting him. He did a trip to California early, middle of summer during pandemic time, and he was amazed by walking into a store. It's 180 degrees from Louisiana. Being able to not get arrested, not be messed with. It's like shopping for potatoes.
Well, he's got a quote here. For too long, candidates have used the legalization of marijuana as an empty talking point in order to appeal to progressive voters. I hope that this ad works not only to destigmatize the use of marijuana, but also forces a new conversation that creates a pathway to legalize this beneficial drug and forgive those who are arrested due to outdated ideology. I mean, it's everything that we believe in. But that was wonderful PR as well. I mean, he is now very well known. That's our lead story. And he's running for the Senate in Louisiana. Gary Chambers comes right out and starts that ad, just firing up a blunt. Yeah.
No, I love it. I love it. It's a great ad. You should follow his channel. Follow him. He's got great advice and history. Speaking of advice, okay.
It was not a crime for him to make that video, that campaign ad either. Not only does he have First Amendment protection, but also they have decriminalized up to 14 grams. And there's no way that was a 14-gram blunt, maybe a 2 or 3 gram blunt. But and in New Orleans, where the ad was filmed, police recently announced they would no longer be issuing citations over simple possession of cannabis by itself. There you go. That's great.
Can you imagine? Because some people do get arrested for posting on social media. I mean, can you imagine just you doing whatever you do every day, and then that is evidence for a crime? Like, that's just ridiculous as far as that goes, you know?
Right.
I mean, and this is why prohibition is so bad, and why we need to end this law and fix it equally for everybody, right? Like, I got this weird lib thinking that we all are entitled to equalness. I don't know what kind of crazy madness that is, but
yeah, you're not. You're only equal before the law, but the law is rarely enforced. And so hopefully South Carolina is going to be getting into the mix soon, as South Carolina medical marijuana legalization will be on the Senate floor next week. So says its sponsor, the Marijuana Moment, is reporting that Senator Tom Davis said he's spoken to Senate Majority Leader Shane Massey about his bill. Again, these are both Republicans out of South Carolina, and it's called the South Carolina Compassionate Care Act, and has received the commitment that it'll be one of the first things we take up in the chamber this session. And so medical cannabis coming to South Carolina, perhaps.
But you know, the reason why the Republicans are behind this one is because South Carolina is a red state. Like, 90%, if you're going to throw a dart at it, you know, like, that's who's going to be sponsoring a bill for legalization. So good on you guys for being in the present and not like believing in weird stuff off the internet.
Yeah, well, right. Let's throw some cold water in that, because it's essentially going to be a millionaires club, as it calls for only 15 vertically integrated marijuana business that will control production, distribution, and sales. More than 100 dispensaries would be licensed to operate under the bill. This is essentially an ATC, that is an alternative treatment center, and or it is a MMTC, a medical marijuana treatment center model for medical cannabis that is popular in states like New Jersey and in Florida, and is just impossible for the average person or the average entrepreneur to be able to access.
Well, and again, this is going to happen in every state. There's going to be this gray market that exists, every legal thing that happens, because you know why? The people who are making the rules have money and they have time, and they're paying the lobbyists and creating the people to create the bills, right? Like, how many mom and dads are at home like, you know what? I think legalization is a great idea. Let me just sit down and create a 50-page bill creating this. You know, it doesn't happen. And that's the unfortunate thing, dude. If more average people were involved in politics, you know, we'd have a better chance, right? Instead, everybody believes all these goddamn Facebook memes and shit that are being sold all the time. Like right now, I've been watching on C-SPAN the filibuster and the vote, right? Like, that's a great thing about America. We could watch the stuff happening in real time and go, okay, here's my informed opinion, because I've been listening to the R's, man. There's no good argument, right? Like, they really are the party of the biggest loser. I just can't get into this whole, like, why you don't want, you know, like, progressiveness. Why is this a bad thing that we all go forward? Why is it that, you know, we all have sustainability and equality?
Things were better when we were younger. Yeah, no crap. Like, yeah, I was dumber. I was younger. I didn't have near the injuries I had, but doesn't necessarily make things any better. It's just that some people, they see things through a lens that stuff was better when they were younger, and that times are bad and think we're on the wrong course. They're just negative Nellies. And then they're divorced from reality. And so they're looking backwards for a idyllic time that really didn't exist. But anyway.
Right. Well, no, you're right. But, like, that's the thing, right? With, like, legalization, right? We know we can have flying cars. We can have, like, support, you know, like, college tuitions and healthcare and all those things, basic necessities, like the whole hierarchy of needs can be met, you know, like, with the taxes that this plant can generate. And that's the other thing, right? So legalization, how we thought about it as kids, was like, it's, you know, I got a pound, I made money. But it doesn't work that way because of regulations, right? There's licenses, there's codes.
Well, it's the whole state of South Carolina, 15 licenses, 15.
Wow.
And then those 100 dispensaries, 15 licenses. That's who gets those 100 dispensaries. So it's just, it's ridiculous. What's the population of South Carolina? Hey, Google, what's the population of South Carolina?
Well, in
The population of South Carolina was 5,148,714.
5 million.
Yeah. So out of 5 million people, 15 of them can get a cannabis license. You know that's going to be political connections. You know it's going to be wealthy people. That ain't good for patients, nor is it American.
Well, that's the thing. I thought America was against monopolies.
No.
And that's the things that's happening, right? Like
Yeah.
in each little collective state, only big money can, like the Crescos and GTIs and other name brands that you can, like, I shouldn't know these kind of name brands, but they're all stock name brands too. Tilray.
Have you ever had any of GTI or Cresco's products?
Not in Washington because it's going to be a hard market
It's not
for them to
there.
crack into.
Because it's not there. Yeah.
But see, that's because they're getting their hands in the places they can, right? Like,
oh yeah, they're coming to South Carolina. They love that. That is their style, where only we can afford it. Give it to us. You know.
That's what I'm saying. It's like this industry is so unfair. Like the law is unfair. The way we've been rolling this out. I mean, it's proven that no one dies. Like all the prohibition BS that you've been told that people believe in doesn't exist, right? Like. Yeah, it doesn't even make want people to be lazy. That's what's called personal liability. You know, get off your ass. You know, it's not the weed's fault that you want to sit on the couch and play video games all day. You know, it's crazy, dude. But yeah, I was watching the filibuster, dude, and I'm hoping
filibuster up. We could talk to move into other news. There is a debate regarding the filibuster in the U.S. Senate right now. There's just not a really cool dude named Gary Chambers running for the U.S. Senate in Louisiana. They are also debating whether or not the filibuster will be a thing.
And along because they're it's either voting rights or filibuster. That's what they're kind of throwing out right now. They're like, and it's kind of egregious how they've been, like the Republican Party. They've been, what is it, the Heritage Foundation? You know, like when people talk about deep state, there are people out there like religious weirdos that want to like govern you by some weird book, whether you're whatever you are.
Well, they tell you that they believe in free markets.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. And liberty and fairness and all these things that are supposed to be like good.
That only good Christians are allowed to have.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, it's so weird that this party is always trying to like, or there's these rules to,
you know, what makes the South Carolinian or Carolinian version of medical cannabis worse?
What's that?
How do you make medical cannabis worse than having only the totalitarian top-down, only Crescos can afford to get a license? How do you make it worse? New York,
no flower.
Yeah. They would ban smokable products and home cultivation.
What's the point? What's the point?
To make it even more difficult. So now you have to grow the product, extract the product.
Well, it's like Texas and their goddamn hemp medical program. I mean, I feel bad for Texas. There's a whole state of people who think they have medical, but I'm sorry, you got Diet Coke.
Yeah, you have the USDA hemp program. That's what you have.
Ridiculous, though.
It is. But, you know, I think it's nice that South Carolina's starting to get on board, but it's not necessarily that great of a thing when you kind of dig into it and realize no flower, no smokables. Plus, only 15 companies are going to be able to share these 100 dispensary licenses. They lock generational wealth to the generations that don't need it.
Riddle me this, Batman. What if this weird hypothetical world where a bill passes now in all the illegal states, Kentucky, everybody, but it's a bill just like that, right? So now we have medical in every state, a rule in every state. Will that, you think, catalyst anything federally or no?
Maybe it would definitely catalyst more wealthy people having more wealth and the haves continue to have more.
But I mean, on a federal level, though, like once every state has a medical rule inbound, then wouldn't that propel, like, say, I don't know, health
maybe
services?
the Safe Banking Act or something, because then you have license holders in all the jurisdictions. But if it's like this, where the license holders are centralized, well, at least it's 20 past the hour. So that means that it is 4:20 somewhere. We're going to take a small break.
Smoking got 'em. Thank you, collateral base. Tom's company has been paying these bills for what, 2 years now?
Yes, this is our beginning in our third year of operation, Collateral Base. We've grown our revenues and we're continuing to tune into our product town hall. It's going to be on this channel as well. We're going to broadcast that, but we're going to talk about all the new things that are going on at, of course, our flagship website for the Collateral Base is cannabisindustrylawyer.com. It's my law blog, but also it has my consulting services and products on that. We've added a whole bunch more of them, and so we go over the tech stack tomorrow at the town hall, the product town hall, over the lunch hour, at least in the central time zone. And then I think we're going to have another one next quarter, because there's even the stuff that I saw today about what we're going to be working on is that'll take a few more months to build up, but it's a fairly tech savvy company. And then we have New Jersey that's popping off. We have Connecticut that's going to be opening, and one day Illinois will have license holders.
So if your state is opening or open, so it'd be a good chance to look into your program and check it out.
Yes. If your state's
if you want to get involved.
Yeah, if you want to get involved, you want to be one of those 10 licenses in South Carolina, get out your checkbook.
So, when I did look up filibuster, so check this out. I wanted to share this with everybody. If I typed in filibuster,
why don't you go ahead and zoom it in, and then let's put it back on the screen.
Very good. Go ahead.
And there we go.
But check this out, though. So number one was you, dude.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right. Filibuster marijuana legalization. You will find collateralbase.com. Filibuster and federal marijuana legalization.
And the next,
that's right.
The next one's the lawyer that I had on the other day. But I just think it's interesting, though. So all the topics really do just discuss it as a, course of path to legalization. So Natalie Fertig, a cannabis reporter, she tweeted about if this actually goes through, depending on what filibuster reform looks like, it could have a major impact on chances for comprehensive cannabis reform, which I agree with, because if you end the filibuster, you're making these people work. These guys, for the most of a better part, they've been phoning it in.
Whether or not getting rid of the filibuster, which has that 60 vote requirement that, Martin Luther King was arguing that we should also get rid of it. But they changed the rule, because they used to have to actually go down there and fight and filibuster and talk. And they could have the people just waiting to overrule them and outvote them. Now it's just I intend to object. All right, I'm going home.
Well, and then also this would force the politicians to have the legislatures to make a stance, right? For the most part, all they have to do is check mark and phone in and say, yeah, I'm not coming in, but I would vote no. Well, I want to know why. I want to know, what can we do to change your opinion? This stagnant thing that we have been going on, I'm surprised we made it this far with legalization, but we have on a state level.
On a state level.
Though, get rid of the filibuster or make it correct.
Some states trust their citizens, and they actually listen to their votes. Some states are Florida.
Well, and then here's the other problem, right? So, and again, it's such a hot topic of 2 years, right? When we talk about the January 6th BS, right? There was an actual attempt to actually hack the system, right? They were just trying to, I'm sure they didn't intend for anybody to die, but what they try to do is do distraction, so then they can delay, which is ridiculous, because the process is what it's supposed to be, right? Isn't that how America became civil wise and what we're supposed to be about? Instead I can just again, check mark and say, I'm not coming in. I vote no on this. So now it gets delayed and no one ever even gets to hear it. So ending the filibuster, I think it's gonna be huge.
It may be, but in other marijuana related news, there's a federal probe into Missouri medical marijuana licensing that might be ongoing, according to documents. Well, Marijuana Moments reporting that a spokesperson for the FBI said the agency cannot confirm nor deny the existence of an investigation. And nobody likes to hear that, but still.
That always means yes.
Yeah, by Steve Vodrock and Jason Hancock of the Missouri Independent. Federal law enforcement is still seeking information as recently as last summer about medical marijuana licensing in Missouri and utility contracts and independents that have attracted FBI scrutiny for years. That's according to sworn testimony from a Kansas City area businessman that surfaced publicly last week. The deposition of Joseph Campbell, the owner of real estate development firm Titanfish, was conducted in November as part of an ongoing defamation lawsuit he and his company filed in 2020 against the City of Independence and 2 city council members. Excerpts of the deposition became public last week after they were filed in Jackson County by independent attorneys.
So I wonder what's the crime though? I mean, defamation? What's going on?
No, I highly doubt it's defamation. Usually, if there is a federal probe going on in medical cannabis licensing, it has to do with bribes. It has to do with some type of cause of action outside of the actual medical thing itself. Otherwise, the Department of Justice doesn't have any appropriations of federal funds to do such investigations.
Well, I just think it's funny how we talk about like the actual like grows and farms and stores and whatnot, or actual monopolies, but yet they're going to go after these like the lab testings for what kind of racketeering, for what kind of the monopolies are being held. They're the license, the governing bodies. That's who's guilty, not for not allowing enough licenses or not allowing enough regulation. I don't understand how a lab could be. I mean, unless they're falsifying things. I mean, but you're a lab. You have the opportunity to do all the right things because you're not touching the
thing.
flower.
I'm sure that they don't.
Yeah,
they don't do the right things. They do the things they can get away with.
True enough.
Yeah.
You want to do something? Okay.
Well, I'm just reviewing this thing, and it's not as great of an article as I would have hoped. But yeah, there is something going on in medical marijuana in Missouri that might be a little fishy.
But the draw ire from the Fed, that's just crazy to me. Like, what kind? Maybe they're funneling money. Maybe it's just what do you call it when you just like when you own strip clubs to funnel money? Oh, laundry. Used for laundry.
Right. Financial and those types of financial crime.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Money laundering. That's it. Money
Most
laundering is
likely.
a federal crime. Maybe it is. He's a real estate developer, but it's very often you'll see municipalities and bribes in the industry, and so like that's where you see a lot of federal actions that are coming, because they aren't allowed to arrest you for the weed anymore. But if there is any impropriety in obtaining the license for that weed, quid pro quo and whatnot, then they can get you on various other things.
Well, and that's what happened to that lady Deanna, I think in New Hampshire, who was taking cannabis from California, buying it in bulk in the millions, taking it to New Hampshire, giving it to her patients, and she really makes no qualms about it. But they got her for not paying employee tax roll. Like, what kind of?
Yeah, I tell you, that would be a fun segment for us to have on the show. Is it federal wire fraud, or is it wire fraud? Playing with a federal prosecutor, and so the federal prosecutor, we go over a hypothetical factual situation. Is it wire fraud? Yes, or like one of those deals where you could make the allegations that would suffice in the court of law.
Well, I think that's what they're doing. They're doing like guess the crime. Like, who's making money? Let's figure out how to get them.
Well, that was Missouri. That was in Kansas. That money got intercepted between Colorado and Missouri. So it was generated in Missouri, and they drove it back to Colorado, and it got intercepted in Kansas. And then they're like, "Hey, who has jurisdiction to stop this money just because it smells like weed?" And that it came from the sales of cannabis. That was
it's such a gray area, right? Because it's like the shit going on in Kansas, like with the Delta 8, though. Like,
oh, that is something that we should turn our attention to. That was something that somebody on Instagram reached out to us, or maybe it was even on our Facebook site. And then our Facebook page is facebook.com/free THC. That is free THC. You won't really find it if you search for what it actually is called. Marijuana prohibition is unconstitutional, because nobody searches for the word marijuana on Facebook. But
well, you couldn't search because you're shadow banned anyways.
That's right. And so there is confusion over Delta 8 in Kansas now, as the Attorney General issues an opinion saying it's unlawful. This is coming out of Fox 4 from Kansas City. The debate over Delta 8 is leaving some confused and others out of luck as it comes for hemp and cannabis plants. A recent legal decision in the state of Kansas changed its classification to a controlled substance.
There's a activist group out there, Bleeding Heart Kansas. I wish you guys the best of luck. But this is ridiculous. I mean, they're confiscating Delta 8 from shelves, I believe, right?
Yeah, on December 2nd, Kansas Attorney General Derek Schmidt issued an opinion saying it is unlawful to possess and sell in Kansas if it contains more than 0.3% THC.
Damn. Hey, Mike West puts out Cresco pays 2% of net revenue local. It's a bribe. Yeah, that's what that is, bro. craziness.
It's a community engagement plan and a
Oh,
community
yeah.
redevelopment plan and a community enrichment plan. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so
Trickle down economics, huh? Is that what that is?
yeah, trickle down stuff like that. However, this is an attorney general saying that it's unlawful. Now, a legal opinion like that is not necessarily able to be made by a member of the administration. You really can only be a judge and issue legal opinions. But because he is the chief enforcer, because he's the attorney general, so his job is to ensure that the laws are enforced. His opinion of the law is that the Delta 8 is unlawful. And so you would have to sue the state to enjoin him from having that opinion, which is a very expensive piece of litigation.
Well, I'd imagine too. This is like lessons learned why associations are important, right? Like if you're in a gray area state, you really need to strengthen numbers. I imagine there's more than one CBD shop that got raided or whatever hell was the shelves or gas station. I don't know, but this is to have this ability to sell something that doesn't kill people. I mean, Delta 8, dude, you get a little warm feeling, but that's about it, and it's gone.
Well, once again, on December 2nd, Kansas Attorney General Derek Schmidt issued an opinion saying it's unlawful to possess and sell in Kansas. And then it started getting taken down, started getting taken out from the stores. They're no longer selling Delta 8 in Kansas to customers, and she's hoping to see medical marijuana legalized this year, said a person who owns a CBD shop. So that really stinks. It just they're just ruining certain businesses that are out there.
Again, ignorance. This is what prohibition enables, right? Like people enforcing ridiculous laws. Like, who are you saving, buddy? Like, what initiated you to go? You know what? This Delta 8's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are
Casey
way too many people, huh?
Yeah, it's called Casey Hemp Co. So she's losing money, man. So she had a brick and mortar shop, or she has an online shop, but she's trying to sell these hemp derivatives, and they say no. So there you go.
That sucks, dude.
That does suck because now you have a whole bunch of inventory, and if you try to sell it, somebody's going to arrest you and say it's weed,
and you can't return it. You purchase the thing with the intent to sell, not come back.
Right. That's kind of why you buy inventory. You don't buy inventory to return it. You buy inventory to give it to the retail buyer.
Seriously, like this is why I think people I'm so tired of like regular news where it's always like talking about the shortages, right? We've had this issue for a while there since the beginning of the pandemic because we're trying to adjust to figure out like how much toilet paper do you really need? Like people don't remember like 2 years ago where people were fighting for toilet paper, like Game of Thrones shit.
Yeah. Well,
it's always an issue.
Everything is all messed up now. And so I think we've only plunged into the metaverse faster because of the whole pandemic. But it looks like the Omicron variant is totally tanking, which is great. I've seen some really happy charts where it's the peak and it's just like, okay, everybody's gotten it. Everybody's gotten it now. Watch out, Europe.
Shit. Hey, we got some international news.
Wait a second. Do we have international news? Are you going to hit that bumper or should I?
Got you.
Bloomberg is reporting that Thailand plans to make marijuana legal, scrapping jail terms and fines for possession. So this is out of the Bloomberg. They are reporting that Thailand plans to decriminalize marijuana, moving a step closer for clearing its use for recreation after becoming the first country in Southeast Asia to legalize medical cannabis and its use in both food and cosmetics.
In about its time news, I mean, I've been to Thailand. Have you been to Thailand?
I have not been to Thailand. When I was in Asia, I didn't go there. I went briefly to Japan and then to China and then to Mongolia and then I guess Russia. And so that kind of counts as Asia, but not really.
I was in, okay.
No, that's it. I didn't go south like that. I heard stories about Thailand. And I'm like,
well, and that's the thing, right? Like it's a beautiful country, right? When I was in, I think it was in Phuket or whatever. I was somewhere in Thailand, and at the time, which was 20 years ago, 20 plus, it was very disheartening because you do see some of the shit that the sex industry, right? Like, it was all overlooked. I've never seen so many creepy old white dudes holding the hands of small children.
Yeah.
And besides that part, I actually saw like discrepancies.
The only thing that I heard that was really like, I'm like, wow, that is cool. That's like really tough, you know, because I kickboxed in Korea, and the trainers would go down to Thailand, and so I'd hear about the kickboxing scene there, and then the records that the guys would have was like 285 and 46, and they're like 10.
Oh, they break.
Like, those are kids that like lived on the street, and so like they'd have to take care of the gym and fight. And I'm like, damn.
When we pulled in, they warned Marines not to get in these rings, right? So like they have these open rings where people can like jump in and like fight these kids, whipping out trained grown men, but a lot of times they're intoxicated too. But my point being was like the stuff I saw there was so debauchery ridden. And it's like, how is cannabis going to get you killed out there? Because that's what it could have done a while ago. Like, I'm pretty sure it was overlooked for 99.9% of the time, but whenever they wanted to enforce it,
sure,
it was a rule in the books.
Right.
you know?
But that was one of the weird things. It was like really like badass fighting. Good. I've heard their food's good. Like, if you like Asian style food, that can be kind of spicy. I've heard that's good, but whatever. And then weird shit and drugs. It was like weird shit and drugs. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not into that. Do you want to go see some kids like kick the shit out of each other? Not really. Yeah.
But it's beautiful though. Their beaches were amazing.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
For like $20, we went snorkeling and fishing and drinking all the beer you can drink on this little boat. And I just say there's this weird dichotomy. And I was like, but the thing that always frustrated me about prohibition though is like how we exported this plant to be illegal everywhere, and it can literally get you killed, opposed to like all the other effed up stuff going there.
Yeah.
Or like in the Philippines too. You got that jackass going around trying to solve his war on drugs, killing people.
Yes, the shit people will do. I tell you what. But that is good news out of Thailand. They are liberalizing marijuana, and that would be great because then they can have a better tourist industry there. And Thailand is a landrace area. A lot of great crosses come from that area. Burma, Thailand.
Thailand's more ahead of Texas.
Pardon?
Thailand's further ahead in the future than Texas.
Yes, it is. But I'm sure after you've done all the debaucherous things in Thailand and you've gotten your legs broken by a guy who's like done 85 million fights before, and you go and you have to go where you do in those situations, the hospital, they actually may have socialized medicine, and so like you aren't going to go broke because something went wrong in Thailand. But I'm not sure. I haven't looked into Thailand's healthcare system.
Oh, actually, 2 years ago, Thailand serves edibles in their hospitals. So like they've slowly been evolving on the whole cannabis issue and really just evolving as a culture and people. And I think people forget that. There's this whole like here in the States, right? It's this whole left-right bullshit thinking, cling to my whatever thing symbol you wear around your neck. And it's like, it's not like that. We're all human beings. And we have a thing that we all do mutually.
Well, this is heartening. I think, look at this. According to Google, Thailand has a healthcare system that is one of the best in the world. The country started its universal coverage program in 2002, which opened up a universal healthcare for all of its citizens. However, civil servants and their family members received healthcare coverage via the civil service welfare system. So they probably had that prior to getting full coverage. But think about that. That's they care about their people. That's really what universal healthcare says to me. It says that you care about your people, and it's good for them to have health.
But ending prohibition's a wellness issue.
Right. Yeah.
First and foremost, it can make a first chance, a holistic option.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Why are we going to have people reaching for all those NSAIDs like ibuprofen and all the other ones? What's the Aleve one, naproxen sodium? Those ones, they can be quite difficult on your liver. Heroin, why are they making people reach for something that's difficult on their liver when they could be reaching for something that's not?
Yeah. Well, did you see the article I shared with you in the Slack about Eli Whitney's grandson?
No.
So in 1907. Oh wait, do we have a history thing?
Oh wait, yeah. Let's find the link first, and then let's hit the button.
I got it.
When did you share this?
It didn't pop up with a header. It just was the link that popped in.
Okay, so is it the University Sciences? Let me see.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because this one was actually, I didn't put it in because it didn't seem newsy. It was from over a year, well, approximately a year ago.
You're right.
Hang on, let's go ahead and then hit some branding, and we have some history news. Welcome to Cannabis History with Tom and Miggy. Miggy has a little bit of cannabis history news that he would like to bring for you. So here we go.
Yeah. So in the U.S. University of Sciences website, there's an article in regards to in 1907, the grandson of the founder of pharmaceutical giant Eli Lilly and Company completed his doctoral thesis on cannabis at the Philadelphia College of Pharmacy, today known as the University of Sciences. The thesis, the comparative psychological effects of several varieties of cannabis sativa, tested 5 different strains of American cannabis against the most potent cannabis indica. The man did a study of sativa versus indica. Come on, man. In 1907.
Isn't this isn't Eli Lilly in Indianapolis? Isn't Indianapolis and Indiana one of the worst states when it comes to marijuana laws?
Exactly. And it's also a huge pharmaceutical, like the Sacklers and the Purdue's and the Modernas or whatever's. But the route from Eli thesis at the beginning of the 20th century to SDA's work today has been one long, strange trip. America started thinking cannabis as a legal drug in 1850, the nation's official drug reference manual. The United States Pharmacopoeia listed cannabis as a legitimate treatment for a wide range of medical conditions. 1850.
Wow.
And then in 1937, of course, Roosevelt signed the Marijuana Tax Act, which effectively banned possession of pot, requiring users to obtain a tax stamp. How many more studies do we need?
It's now the studies are like becoming hilarious, right? Because when was that study done? 1907. What? Who did that study? Sit down. Eli frickin' Lilly. What?
Then what? 20 years after that was the LaGuardia report, and then another 50 years the what was that commission?
The LaGuardia report, and that was in the 1940s. The Schaefer Commission was empowered by Schedule F, or Part F of the Controlled Substances Act, to get the Democrats to vote for it in 1970. That was the Schaefer Commission's report, also thrown in the trash. So they have just been throwing reports and studies in the trash for hundreds, over 100 years now.
Well, and again, this is easy to do when these powers have like the people that are poor fooled. You know what I mean? Like this whole like voting thing, like unfortunately all our votes count equally. You know what I mean?
Well, not necessarily. Your vote counts more depending on how many Senate votes you have. But where is Eli Lilly's headquarters? Indianapolis, Indiana. So hilarious.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. Well, I think this is about a good place for us to start wrapping it up for the week, because I should get back to work, as much fun as this has been. Shout out to the members. Thank you so much for tuning in and for listening in the podcast verse. Remember, you're supposed to go to Apple Podcasts and rank us 5 stars and then roast one of us mercilessly. So like how I just mispronounced the word mercilessly, that's a roasted.
Oh, I just had to say something, dude. So yesterday was my birthday. And,
happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say, so like on social media, if you follow me, like I did a lot of like whining as my birthday type shit. But the only reason why I did that was because 2 years ago I posted about my birthday. So rule number 1, I've never put my birth date in any of the social media stuff, right? I always put the wrong year, whatever. But then I was like, you know what? Today's my birthday. I'm just whatever. Then yesterday or 2 days ago, I got one of those like, hey, it's your birthday. You're going to do a fundraiser type shit. And I was already a little buzzed. I'm like, yeah, I'll do a fundraiser. Freedom Grow. I love freedom. Then I'm like, wait a minute. I never put my birth date in. Whoa, algorithm creepy. So that's what I throw that out.
Crazy. All right, man. Well, shout out to all the members. That's the only thing that really generates the $180 this channel actually makes in a given month. So we're going to give them some credits, and we'll see you when we see you.
Got to balance, got delivery.
Oh yeah, I got to bounce as well, man. Well, have a good one. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, bro.